Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you today. It is October 5th, a Wednesday in the middle of the day, and there is much that is breaking today. News that will impact our economy. It will impact the lives of millions, tens of millions of Americans and those around the world, and it's only getting worse. They may have redefined the meaning of the recession, but the fact is the recession is here. It is deepening. It is getting wider, and it is affecting more and more Americans, even as we see the Biden-Harris administration try to cover it up. Even as we see that the major news media are trying to distract you with talking about Twitter and Elon Musk, while they're talking about the controversies over at She-Hulk or the Rings of Power, or they're trying to distract you with the movie Bros. Everything is being geared to keep you from paying attention to what is happening, not just right now, but what will be happening in the near future. We're going to discuss some of that with you today. Now, if this is the first time that you are seeing our channel, we want to welcome you. We thank you for being part of our audience. We want you to know that we do long-form political commentary. And, of course, every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you. We reach out on all the social media that the internet overlords will allow to hear your voice from anywhere in the world to tell us what you think about the issues that are affecting us all. Every Sunday at 2:30 p.m., whether the internet overlords agree, whether or not your government may agree, we believe in the First Amendment. It is not just an American right. You have the freedom to speak, and we want to hear your voice, and we hope you will join us at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The economy is bad. We know this. The United States is under a recession, as defined since 1974, and even though we've seen the Biden-Harris administration go out and change the definition of what a recession may be, we are feeling the impact. When you go to the store, you know we're in a recession. You know that the cost of eggs and meat, cheese, eggs, the foods that you eat every day are more expensive. In many places, 25, 35, 45% higher. But you're being told by the Biden-Harris administration, by the press secretary for the White House, it's okay. The economy is doing great. You just don't understand. In fact, their latest message to you going into the November 2022 midterm elections is the economy is doing better. The price of gas has gone down. That's their claim to fame. That is their winning strategy. The price of gas is down from its all-time high to lows that are only 80, 90% higher than where they were just 1 year ago. And of course, this is happening as we go into not just the 2022 midterms, but we're going into the winter. Now, they're going to point to the fact that if you look at and this is from AAA, gas prices, they're going to say, see, the prices are down from the highs of $5, $6 on average across the nation. We're only at $3.80, maybe $4. And that's down from where we were just a year ago of $3.21. And they're going to tell you that means the economy is fine. They have a solution. The problem is resolved. That is a lie. That is not true at all. In fact, the price of oil is up. If we just go back to January, looking at when the Biden-Harris administration took over, the price of oil was $55 a barrel of oil. Today, it is at $93 and looking to go higher. This is important. This means that your winter bills, electricity, heating for your homes, your cars, is going back up. And it's not going to stop, not anytime soon. We know this because of the news that came out today, but before we get to that news, I want you to understand the background. How have we been looking at this? What has been told to us? Well, we can go back and we will look at back on March 14th of 2022. We had a very simple message and we were putting it out to the many candidates looking to get elected in the 2022 midterm elections. In fact, at the time, what we had said was Josh Riley, who wants to run for the New York 22nd District, he wants to become the congressman of Syracuse, where he does not live and does not know people. Let me ask you, Josh, I ask you, will you support my idea that we should not buy oil from a country that attacks American citizens and or kills its own people? Will you agree with me on that? And will you run as a Democrat for the New York 22nd District, which is Syracuse? Will you present that as an idea to constituents in Syracuse? Will you ask the people of Syracuse if they agree with me? We think it made a lot of sense. Let's fix the problem. Let's not buy oil from Russia or from Saudi Arabia or other nations that are harming its own people and destabilizing the world. It's a simple message. But the answer that we got back from the Biden-Harris administration, because they were the only ones to answer, no Democrat has mentioned anything. They have avoided this situation, saying the economy is not as bad as you think. Things are better than you imagine, even as you go to the store. In fact, going to September 6th, we did get the answer from the Biden-Harris administration. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg stepped up, and along with Stephen Colbert, he said the answer is you need an electric vehicle. That's what you need to do. You need to go out and buy an electric vehicle, and you won't care what the price of oil is. Now, this is a bit short-sighted, because where does the electricity to charge these electric vehicles, where does it come from? Solar or wind? Well, that's not true. We know that not only in the United States, but in Germany as well, throughout all of Europe, solar and wind do not work. They will not make up the difference. And even if they could, we don't have the facilities. It takes 2 years, 3 years to build the solar and wind farms to even try and to cover up for the amount of energy that we need from oil and gas. That's a reality. So even if they tried tomorrow to install that, we would wait 2, maybe 3 years before we would have a solution. How many winters is that? How high will the price of oil and gas get? Their short-sighted answer, just buy an electric vehicle and you won't care. Because that's the only part of inflation that you really care about, right? Getting to and from work, paying for filling up your gas tank. You're not worried about the cost of, housing, rentals, and mortgages. You're not worried about the cost of food or clothing. You're not worried about the cost of electricity, which has skyrocketed, as in fact, President Obama once promised us would necessarily happen. No, it's all about filling your gas tank. Now, that's pretty short-sighted when we understand that looking at California just over the summer, people were not allowed to charge up their electric vehicles. Why? Because there were blackouts and brownouts, because the grid can't handle it, because there's not enough electricity for the people to charge those electric vehicles. So electric vehicles fail. But what did we learn with these natural disasters like Hurricane Ian, Hurricane Fiona? What did we see? Well, when there is no electricity, when the power plants get turned off, when the electricity isn't flowing, your electric vehicle leaves you stranded. You don't have the ability to charge up because there is nothing to charge up. Whereas if you had gas, you still might be able to move around. So there's some inherent flaws in what we are being told by the Biden-Harris administration and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, as they laugh at us and say, well, it's just a matter of just getting electricity. That's not really the answer. Now, I know Pete Buttigieg is very busy right now trying to distract you from the fact that buying an electric vehicle will not be the solution to your problems, will not be the solution in terms of your energy costs, in terms of inflation or the recession. No, right now he's busy trying to cover up for Kamala Harris, as was covered in our most recent J-Rest Break video, Thank you, John Rastusha, for providing that, where we know that Kamala Harris is saying, well, it's all about equity. We have to take care of people based on the color of their skin as the priority, not the amount of need that they have. And Pete Buttigieg has chimed in and he's tried to help her out because that was obviously racist. We all agree. When people are in need, when their homes have been destroyed, when they are being affected by flooding as well as the hurricane, and they need food, they need water, they need shelter, we should not pick those individuals based on the color of their skin. Pete Buttigieg said, well, and I quote, "I think we all know that some Americans bear the brunt most of all of extreme weather events." He seems to be trying to say minorities. He should be saying the poor, because they're not the same thing. He goes on to say, and we've got to make sure that we're helping everybody based on a need that is there, that is fair, that is equitable. Well, no. Equitable means priority. That doesn't mean fair. It doesn't mean equal. So his wording conflicts with itself. Equity is a priority. You prioritize based on politics, one group of people over others. This is what Pete Buttigieg is trying to distract you from, trying to make you think that fair and equal and equitable all mean the same thing. They don't. He goes on to say, and that's something that I think you see built into the process right now. Well, no, what's built into the process right now is the emphasis from the Biden-Harris administration as correctly defined by Kamala Harris, which says that someone's skin color is a higher priority. But I'm not surprised that Pete Buttigieg would do something like this. Remember, Pete Buttigieg is the one, again, who said, you're worried about high gas prices, you're worried about the economy, you're worried about your bills, then just buy an electric vehicle. As Pete Buttigieg said on August 8th of 2022, and being quoted when he appeared on MSNBC, he said, quote, "The best thing that we can do for the medium and long term is to make sure Americans have more options through greater fuel efficiency and greater access to vehicles that don't require gasoline at all, so Americans do not have to worry about what is happening in some Middle Eastern capital or foreign war zone." His focus isn't on the needs of the people. Poor people can't afford an $80,000 Tesla. That's just the reality. Yes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez can afford it because she's a member of Congress. She gets paid $200,000 a year. That's 5 times what the average American makes. And that's even more than what the poor in America make. This is the emphasis of Pete Buttigieg. This is the emphasis of the White House. And they're trying to change your focus to make you think, well, the answer is just to comply. You're not supposed to think. You're supposed to buy a vehicle that's going to cost more than the rent for your apartment or your house. You're supposed to be able to afford a vehicle you can't use in natural disasters, and you're not supposed to complain or consider any of the problems with that. In the meantime, the White House is going to make sure that the economy, which is in a tailspin, is going to get better. Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia. He begged Saudi Arabia to increase the amount of oil that is being shipped out because under the Biden-Harris administration, America became energy dependent. We had been a net exporter, helping our allies in the European Union and around the world, as well as meeting our needs for energy. Joe Biden, on January 21st of 2021, with the stroke of a pen and an executive order, shut down the XL pipeline, cut the number of leases that were available for oil and gas companies to be able to find and to bring back the energy that we need in America, and made us dependent on foreign oil once again. That is a fact. It is indisputable. And the price of oil and energy started to skyrocket from that moment going forward. And that's why we've seen, one of the reasons why we've seen energy and inflation increase almost exponentially during the last 19 months. But now we're looking at the 2022 midterm elections, and Joe Biden is paying attention. He's sensitive to this. Democrats need to win. So today, as we reported back on Sunday during our live stream, OPEC had announced that they were going to meet and that they were going to discuss cutting the amount of oil available for the world, which would necessarily increase the cost of energy and increase inflation for the European Union, for the United States, and for the world. The White House responded today, the very last moment, as OPEC was speaking. The White House went into action at the last minute and tried to stop the cut of oil. They were, as reported by CNBC, the White House, quote, but behind the scenes, members of the Biden-Harris administration have been pulling out all the stops, reaching out to partners in the Persian Gulf and warning of drastic consequences to the global economy if a production cut is announced, according to multiple people familiar with the situation. Now, this is a testament to the leadership of the Biden-Harris administration. Joe Biden has long said, and in 2019, he advocated that he get elected because he had relationships with the world leaders. We saw that he went out this summer to Saudi Arabia, a nation that refused to speak with him, would not pick up the phone for months on end. He went to them and he asked them, increase the amount of oil being produced. The answer was no. And now we see the exact opposite reaction. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal because, as we see from the Telegraph, which was in an article from the Telegraph, October 5th, 2022, oil cartel joins forces with Russia to cut supplies. They say, quote, any increase in prices could damage the Democrats' chances in the U.S. congressional elections on November 8th as households grapple with the wider cost of living pressures. This is all about the election. The Biden-Harris administration has been focused on one thing and one thing alone, and everyone in the world is aware of it. They want to win the next election. That's it. They're not worried about your life. They're not worried about the economy, inflation, how it's negatively impacting American citizens. They want to retain power. The article goes on to say, Mr. Farron Price added, quote, the U.S. has been very clear to the Saudis and the United Arab Emirates that they want OPEC to cut off from taking action that could raise oil prices at a sensitive time for the White House ahead of the midterms, and they have clearly ignored that request. Quote, so it's going to be interesting to see whether the U.S. responds to that, end quote. It's obvious to everyone in the world. The White House is concerned about an election, not the price of oil, not energy, not electric vehicles or the climate. They want to win an election. And anything that would increase the price of oil is going to be negative. Now, at the same time, they want to ignore, and they want the American people to ignore that they caused this problem in the first place. America was energy independent. Under Biden-Harris, we are now energy dependent. Their answer is get an electric vehicle that you can't use during blackouts, that you can't use during natural disasters, that we do not have an energy grid capable of being able to support. And we don't have enough energy to actually meet the need. They know this. They don't care. They want to win the next election. They don't want you to think. They want you to obey. And Saudi Arabia, looking at the leadership of the Biden-Harris administration, after having a conversation with Joe Biden directly, decided to say no. But we know that what has been the net result, as reported by the Wall Street Journal today, is that 2 million barrels of oil have been cut. There is only one answer to this, and that's why we see the price of oil is going up as we speak. And that means that inflation will go higher. The price of food is not going down. In fact, it's going to increase, as we have been telling you since February of 2022. There is a food shortage in the world, and that is going to increase the cost of prices. China has slowed down the production because the United States is a service economy thanks to the Obama-Biden administration. We don't make things. So China, that does make our goods overwhelmingly, has slowed down production. We have 15-25% of the shelves at our stores empty. And now we have energy prices going up, all at the same time. This is because there is no plan. There is no long-term understanding of consequences. This is all about the Biden-Harris administration trying to get to the next election with as many Democrats in control as is possible. And Pete Buttigieg is part of that process. He wants to look good so he can try and run against Governor Gavin Newsom of California in the 2024 presidential election, because even Democrats, even progressives, have no confidence in the Biden-Harris administration. And they're already trying to replace him, because no world leader has respect for either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris went to South Korea, tried to make the North Koreans feel like they are in good terms with the United States, and the 32nd ballistic missile was fired right while she was in South Korea. That's more missiles than has ever been fired during any presidency in the history of the United States. There is no leadership. There is no international plan. As we said to Josh Riley, to Antonio Delgado, as we've said to all of our leaders, we need a plan. We need to stop buying oil from countries that hate America, countries that are actively trying to destroy America, whether that be China or Russia or even in the Middle East. We need to make ourselves energy independent again. We know we can because we did. And we need to go back to that strategy. And solar and wind will not get us there. That is a fact proven by Germany, the European Union, the United Kingdom, and the price of oil around the world. The news media wants you to think that the most important issue facing you today is whether or not you went to see The Woman King or Bros, or if you're watching She-Hulk or The Rings of Power or any of those TV shows. They want you to think that that's the big pressing issue affecting your life right now. No, it's not. The recession, which will last until 2024 at the best case scenario, is going to be deep. We know that every nation around the world is either in or expecting double-digit inflation, and the United States is not immune to that. We will join them. We know that unemployment is increasing, and no matter how many electric vehicles are bought by the rich progressives, especially those in elected office, that's not going to change the cost to you. It's not going to change the fact that your IRA is falling as the stock market continues to fall. The fact is that as much as Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris want to try and make you feel good about the decisions they have made in terms of equity, in terms of natural disasters, in terms of the energy policies of the United States, the fact is they are hurting. And while they want to preserve their power in the next election, you have to think further than that. We have said on this channel since January of 2022, plan ahead. Buy more food. Buy 10% more food every time you go to the store. Don't panic. Just buy 10% more food. Buy more rice, more flour, more canned foods. Prepare yourself because the food shortage will last a year, not just the winter, but an entire year. Plan ahead and save money so that you will be able to afford the higher cost of energy that's going to be the winter of 2022 into 2023. We hope that you've been taking our precautions and paying attention to our predictions as they come true, one after the other. We know that inflation is going to get to about 15% in the United States at least. We know that interest rates are going to be going up to 4.5% by the end of 2022, which means that your mortgages, your credit cards, your car loans, everything that involves the interest rates will be going higher. And it's going to cost you more money. And now we have confirmed that your electric bill, your home heating bill, your gasoline for your cars and diesel for the trucks we need are all going to go higher. You can keep paying attention to the major media and their distraction about whether or not Elon will own Twitter and whether or not you're going to be able to send a tweet out saying what you think. Yes, the First Amendment is important. But just as important is, are you going to be able to live under these policies? We look forward to hearing what you have to say about this. We look forward to hearing your voice in the comments today and, of course, every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we hope that you'll take a moment to also look at the JREST break and see some of the short videos we've done covering some of the top issues affecting you every day. I know you've heard it before. What difference does it? You make the difference. When you watch, chat, tweets, your likes and shares, and your subscription, you make the difference. From across the world, you help us to keep the lights on and the stream alive. You are making the difference to fight the woke and the crazy legislation that we see before. We at No Soundbites Allowed, and I want to thank you for everything that you do in helping us reach our goal, and your likes, your tweets, your comments, and your subscriptions to the channel. We want to thank you from the bottom of our heart. And this is a special thank you to those who have donated to the channel and helped us in all of our efforts. We will strive to make this channel the best that we possibly can, because you deserve no less. Thank you.